Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jaden. If you would like to be a part of our growing family, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you know every time I post. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to achieve my perfect eyebrow routine. If you guys would like to get ready with me, just keep on watching. Bring you guys in just a little bit so you can get a really clear view of what I'm doing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a makeup wipe and run through both of my brows just flat so I can really see where my eyebrow hairs lay. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys a method that I've learned to finding like the ideal brow shape. All you're going to need to do this is like a flat, really straight thing, really, any kind of instrument. I'm just going to be using my tweezers and just pulling them together on the end, because this is just the most straight thing I have just laying right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold it right up against the ball of my nose. I'm going to line it up with my brow. So where this hits, right here is where the front part of my brow should start. So now if you just take it again, line it up with the ball of your nose to about a 45-degree angle, just crossing through the middle of your eye. This is where the peak of your brow should start. And now taking it and lining the ball of your nose up with the very outer corner of your eye, okay? So as you can see, my brow should end about right here. For me personally, I did a lot of plucking and waxing my eyebrows when I was younger, and so now my eyebrow doesn't really grow that far and I have to just draw it on. Using this method and matching it up with your eye is going to give you the most ideal brow shape for your face. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take a spoolie and I'm going to brush all of my brow hairs upwards. Now, as you can see, majority of my brow hairs, they do not go past the very top of where my brow ends. So the thickness is all staying the same throughout. Now, if I take my spoolie and just push my brow hairs forward, so in the opposite direction, a couple hairs are going to pop up over the top. So I'm just going to take a little teeny tiny pair of eyebrow scissors and just ever so slightly snip them so that they're the same length as the rest of my brow hair, so that none are just coming up over where I want that line to be. I'm going to be taking the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Medium Brown. When picking the shade that you want to make your brows, for me personally, I do not like to do the same exact color of my hair since my hair is very, very black. But the medium brown is not a very, very dark brown. It's just a couple shades lighter than my hair. This is up to your discretion completely. Now the Brow Wiz has a little bit of a spoolie on the back and then the product is on the other end. So I'm going to go ahead and take the spoolie and I'm just going to brush my brows and making sure they're all where I want them to be. So I'm going to begin by taking the product and just ever so slightly, using an extremely light hand, pulling the product from the top of my brow to create a line from this middle part of my brow right here up into the peak of my brow. Now, as you guys can see, I have a little bit of hair missing right in this area. I need to kind of mimic that peak right there. So how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to continue going in with a light hand, drawing kind of where I want it to be, just going up a little bit over where my hairs stop. And then I'm just going to pull it down to start the tail of my brow. Okay, so now the peak is pretty much where I want it to be. I'm going to come down to this bottom portion of my eyebrow right here, not coming up all the way to the front, but staying just a little bit past. And I'm going to begin to shape out the bottom portion with a very light hand, creating a line, pulling it down just a teeny tiny bit. And now I'm going to start to create the tail of my brow. So I'm going to take the tip and I'm just going to slowly start to draw a line on the bottom. Now I'm going to take the top and I'm just going to connect that to the line that I just created. So now I'm going to begin to work in this area right here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to use a really light hand and buff the product Now I'm going to begin to pull this product a little bit into this front portion. So how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to bring this line that I started on the bottom right here in just a teeny tiny bit. Not going anywhere lower than where my brow hairs are on the very bottom. And then doing the same thing on the top, just very lightly pulling that line in, shading in the middle so slightly. So now I'm going to take this spoolie end and slowly buff out all of those lines. If it gets a little bit crazy and product starts to kind of go all over the place, that is completely fine because we're going to go back in and fix that. We just don't want any harsh lines in our brows. We don't want them to look super blocky. This is just going to keep them looking really, really natural. As I'm combing out my brows, the spoolie is going to pick up a little bit of product. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly go over the front portion of my brow that I didn't really hit with any product, because it's going to put just the slightest bit of color in there. So now I'm going to take a makeup wipe and I'm just going to wipe over the top part of my brow. I'm going to take 2 separate concealers. The Tarte Shape Tape, which is a little bit of a thicker consistency concealer, and I'm going to use that to conceal just underneath of my brow. Since I'm going to be putting on foundation after I do my brows, I don't want to put a super thick concealer up here to conceal the top. So that's why I'm going to be taking the Maybelline Fit Me, because it's a little bit of a lighter consistency, so that when I put my foundation over top of it, it's not going to cake up and look like I have like this weird stripe of just thickness on my forehead. So I'm just going to start to draw a line right underneath my brow where the hairs and the product that I put on meet. Now that this line is pretty much created, I'm just gonna lightly tap in my crease, but I'm not really gonna disturb up on the top where I just created that line. But I really want to keep this end portion very sharp in there so that when I put the concealer on the top, it'll connect and really form this little point on the brow at the end. So now that the bottom portion of my brow is done, I'm going to work on the top portion. So I'm going to take the lighter concealer, like I said, not light in shade, light in consistency. So I'm going to pick up a light amount of product, and I'm just going to start to slowly sweep over the top and not create a line quite yet. I'm just going to bring this line down just a teeny bit and start to carve. And then I'm just going to turn my brush as I come down this end to hit the tail and start to connect the 2 concealers. So now I'm going to take my little fluffy brush and I'm just going to blend out the edges up on the top and right here to blend these 2 concealers, not touching the tail of my brow, just underneath of it. Bring this concealer up onto my nose right here and blend that concealer down the middle of the nose right here. Alright, so now that that is all buffed out, I look a little bit crazy since I don't have anything else on my face. I'm going to go ahead and just take a little shader brush and my Laura Mercier translucent powder. I'm just going to set underneath my eyebrows. The last thing to really pull the brows all together is I'm going to take the Maybelline Great Lash and I'm just going to run through my brows lightly to get the hairs into the position that I want them to stay. And adding just a little bit of highlight up on the brow bone right here. I'm just going to put a little bit above my brow as well. Just kind of dust it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and for everyone that was watching this tutorial in hopes of finding the perfect brow products or the perfect techniques to get your brows perfectly the way that you want them, I really hope you learned something. Just like always, all the products that I use and the brushes will be linked below. All of my social medias will be linked below as well. Feel free to follow me, message me. I'm going to be doing the best that I can to respond to any comments or DMs that I get within the next couple weeks. So anything you guys want to see, feel free to let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!